Hi from Canada. As you asked me, I'm gonna provide today the most in-depth Brainworx SSL 4000 e-channel strip review, and I'm gonna show you mistakes in this plugin as well. What's wrong with emulation of this plugin, which is absolutely not like real SSL channel strip behaves, where SSL companies stole their design, difference between brown knob and black knob, what kind of G compressor, it's actually not G Bus Compressor at all, type of equalizer, which is not traditional vintage type of equalizers. By the way, you have the opportunity to attend one class for free of one of the best audio engineering courses. I don't convince you by words, I convince you by showing you a real class. You will be connected to a real class with my current students who are taking this course right now, and then you can decide. The problem with audio production, even after 15 years, you feel yourself like somebody cheated you and you kind of have to relearn, and you should filter all this bullshit which exists in this field. My course is designed to give you the opportunity to save you 10-15 years. We learn critical thinking approach. I show you how to see molecules of audio. I teach you how to listen to the sound properly. It's the course from A to Z. We have literally all audio engineering topics on this course. And we have only very unique and rare and very effective methods. We even have homework checking sessions when I open your real projects in front of you in real time, showing you your mistakes and settings and explaining nuances. Use this video as an example how I explain, and then take one free trial class. It's 9 months, real-time classes, convenient monthly payments. The information about me and 260 reviews in the first pinned comment or in the description. But don't waste your time, just send me an email to ask course details and find out when exactly you can take one free trial class. The information how to contact me you can find in the first pinned comment or in the description or on the screen. Everything what I explained today is not shown by YouTubers or manual or something. 50% of information I show you today is absolutely unique based on my knowledge and my unique measurement or discoveries. I want to tell you in advance it's a very good plugin. However, a lot of people blindly believe statements of plugin manufacturers that it's 100% authentic emulations. I'm gonna show you a mistake in default settings of this plugin first. What's wrong with emulation of this plugin? Special type of a compressor, for example, feed forward based on special dbX circuitry. In the beginning of 80s, filters couldn't be disengaged, so they always cut a bit of lows and highs. Differences between this compressor and this compressor, this VU meter and dbVU meter show so strange indications, which is absolutely not what DAW shows you. I'm gonna explain calibration content of it. Let's start with the mistake in default settings on this particular plugin. As you can see, this is expander gate. Expander gate works like what? Let's say you have some noise in between kicks. Then kick has some high frequency fluctuations in the beginning and main splash, and then long frequency of the tail or sustain. And then continuing with noise. You put the threshold down, it's a parameter of the gate, like this. So noise should be below red line, but kick, in the best case scenario, should be above red line. Gate compresses everything what is below the threshold to full silence or to the level you decide. So in the perfect case scenario, you're gonna filter this noise before kick and after kick. To stop making silence for the gate, it's critically important to have pretty short attack on the gate parameter. Attack means it's how quickly gate stops making silence when something goes above red line. There is two type of gates. One is called gate and second one is called expander. Gate itself has fast and slow mode, and expander has itself fast and slow mode, but they're not equal. Gate has faster fast mode and faster slow mode. Expander has slower fast mode and slower slow mode. So if you want your drum not to lose the punch in the beginning, this little click in the beginning of a kick is very important. So kick drum sounds like kick, kick, kick instead of eek, 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 you know what I mean? Because if you just hear only lows of the kick, it would be messing up with your bass and it will be just like but you need to hear those like kick, 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 kick. You need this like initial punch of the drum. Default settings by Brainworx designer is completely strange. Listen to this kick. It's a normal kick, not too loud, not too quiet, high frequency fluctuations in the beginning and longer waveform in the tail. It spoils the punch of the kick automatically, instantly, like this. 4 kicks. First and second kick will be spoiled, third and fourth will be quiet okay. Listen to it. So first two is ik, ik, and then kick, kick, third and fourth. In the mix, basically, some of your kicks will be like spoiled, some of them will not be spoiled, and you're gonna have complete random stuff on your kick drum. Reason why it's like this, they chose expander mode, which is slower than gate, and they chose slow attack, not fast attack. That's why they prolong attack time over here. They make longer attack, basically like this, and gate during attack period of time still making compression, still making silence. First piece of this punch will be still full silence. This one will be less compressed, so it will be much quieter, but still it's almost inaudible in the mix. And this piece will be also a bit compressed, so also quieter, like this. So eventually this initial punch in the beginning will be spoiled, as you can hear actually. If you think it's just because of my kick is too quiet or something, actually it's not. I make it up to 0. This setting still will not allow this punch. First two, ik, ik, third, fourth, kick, kick. They have these extra features. They change sensitivity of the threshold by 30 decibels. No matter if you engage it or not, it will be still spoiled punch of the kick. First two without punch, third and fourth with punch. Now I'm gonna show you how to fix this issue. If you simply engage fast attack mode at least, it will be punchy. All 4 kicks sound equal. See? In this case, of course, you should use fast attack mode. I must address Andy Wallace in this case. Andy Wallace claims he doesn't like fast attack mode on expander gates of SSL mixing console. Andy Wallace uses samples with acoustic drums, and he mixes only acoustic drum kits because he works only with rock music. So for him, even if his original kick and snare are not too punchy, he always can add up additional samples to get this punch. Secondly, it's acoustic drums. In electronic drums like this, it's critically important to have definition of the drum, which is not so prominent and so noticeable on acoustic drums. That's why Andy Wallace's opinion on it is not relevant. If you're still not happy with this expander gate, you can put range at 0, you can get rid of the work of this expander gate at all, and then it will be so punchy like original sample. There is additional mistake in Brainworx 9000J channel strip, which related to expander gate. It should have some special release nuance which plugin manufacturer didn't implement because they didn't know, which is by the way properly implemented in SSL from SSL, which is also properly emulated in the gate 2 mode of Universal Audio SSL channel strip, which is 9000 version for the 4000 series channel strip, which is only proves my point. These are channels of 4000E SSL console. 4000G, 4000G Plus would have very similar layout. Coloration. On these consoles it's very important to understand coloration, because if you use, let's say, quieter levels, your signal kind of like clearer but less juicy, less colorful, less saturated. If you exceed specific levels, you start to get much juicier sound. You have 2 places on these channel strips where you really should think about this. It's on the input line amplifier, on the input of the channel. So the louder you make it, the more like different coloration you get. And output fader, which is not on the screen. There is some fader as you can see, but it's so-called small fader. There is large fader under this picture. Like on this picture, this is small fader, this is large fader. So this large fader also influences your coloration, but a bit in the other way. So you're not gonna get exactly the same coloration if you crank up input volumes or you crank up output volumes. It's almost like 2 different enhancers, one on the input, one on the output. This proper emulation at all, surprisingly, you know, including Brainworx. They don't have special enhancer on the input and special enhancer on the output. I'm gonna show you one of rare plugins which have at least some similarities to it. It's Universal Audio SSL channel strip. By the way, bombard Universal Audio company with the request to port this plugin from UAD 2 platform to native platform to have access to these plugins nowadays. Over here, when you increase line amplifier, you create one structure of harmonics, And if you decrease line amplifier by line up, you get much less prominent this structure of harmonics. Completely different structure of harmonics you're gonna create by output fader. If you raise up output fader, you're gonna have the other structure of harmonics, and you can drop this fader down to make this structure of harmonics quieter. So you can decide what type of blend between line input and output fader you want. And digital adjuster, just overall digital volume, is this output knob on the output of this plugin. In Brainworx, however, it almost looks like it's like this. You have in-gain, which also raise up one structure of harmonics, or drop it down, this particular structure of harmonics. And second screw, THD screw, which is like other structure of harmonics. This one more like pushing third harmonic first of all. And you can put more third harmonic to the sound or less third harmonic to the sound. The problem is, this knob and this knob, they absolutely related only to modules, not for general line input amplifier and output volume. What I mean by this, if you simply deactivate dynamics module, which is this module from here to here, and you deactivate EQ module completely, you're not gonna have any coloration. No matter if you make more in-gain, less in-gain, or more THD or less THD. Surprisingly, when you activate dynamics, in-gain working. So when you don't engage EQ, THD doesn't work, you manipulate with in-gain coloration only when dynamics module is engaged. Even if you don't apply any compression, I mean no compression, no gate, for example, you choose special structure of coloration and you make it louder or quieter with in-gain. Second modifier is EQ. You need to engage equalizer module, which is actually on a real SSL, which I have exactly this equalizer in analog over here. This equalizer actually is not saturating too much at all. It's relatively quiet equalizer with very low level of saturation. But on this plugin, equalizer contributes to saturation most of all. You put THD down, you have like second version of coloration content, and you make this coloration content quieter and louder by THD screw. So basically, THD related to EQ and in-gain related to dynamics. Crazy, right? It's absolutely not like on real SSL. An output fader, which is this fader, is completely digital. It doesn't contribute anything to coloration. It's overall digital volume. And this is when it's time to explain this second G compressor. Basically, in late 80s, early 90s, SSL company modified their consoles to G and G Plus series specification. One of modifications were components modifications, especially in line amplifiers quality. It contributed to the coloration content. And coloration became a bit warmer. In terms of how they behave almost equally. But when you in the E mode, you're gonna push third harmonic louder than second. When you in the G mode, you're gonna actually push second harmonic louder than third. So you're gonna get a bit warmer sound because a bit louder second harmonic in the G mode. Check the first pinned comment, contact me and find out when exactly you can attend one free trial class. Now on this plugin you can disengage these filters like this and like this. So you're not gonna cut any lows, any highs, because if you engage them and even if they stay in completely side positions, 16 cycles and 22K, don't think it doesn't affect your sound, because it's 18 decibels per octave in black knob and 12 decibels per octave in the brown knob mode low cut filter, and this filter is high cut or low pass, differently speaking. I mean signature filter of Jennifer Lopez, female singer Jennifer Lopez, she invented this low pass filter, you know, I'm joking. But anyway, 22K, 16 cycles and 22K absolutely will affect frequencies, let's say like 40 cycles. And filter on highs will be probably the most influential. It will affect even frequencies around above 10K. So literally frequencies like 12K, 15K, they will be really adjusted because your filter is 22K. In early 80s, there wasn't this opportunity to engage and disengage these filters. Those filters were engaged by default always. And mostly mid frequencies were more prominent, and that's why people believe SSL console is more like punchy console, more like in your face. It's because of you push mid frequencies by these filters. SSL-G actually didn't sound like this, put all fat lows and all open highs. It actually became less punchy actually and more natural. If your equalizer is brown knob, which means two low knobs are brown, they have brown caps, this low cut filter will have 12 decibels per octave. If your equalizer is black knob, then this low cut filter will be 18 decibels per octave, like Pultec low cut filter. Most equalizers, it's a complete steal from Pultec. And SSL is not an exception. SSL companies say weird things. They say that their equalizer definitely based on Pultec, but it's only like orange knob. They almost like trying to say like black knob and brown knob is kind of like not based on Pultec, which is actually completely based on Pultec. The same shelves, and actually I think it's really influence of the George Martin from Abbey Road, the Beatles' recording producer. Abbey Road created their own EQ called RS-56 and later on TG equalizer, which is known as Curve Bender nowadays. And those shelves actually exactly the same copy of Pultec. And I'm sure George Martin influenced this Abbey Road design, and they repeated exactly the same design over here in SSLs. This equalizer has so-called slow-going shelves. So if you boost 10K up like this, plus 9 decibels, your shelf filter will be so slow-going that it will be boosting not only highs, but upper mid-range as well. So you boost highs and a lot of upper mid-range actually. These slow-going shelves is completely 100% identical to the curves of Pultec low shelf. So Pultec low shelf was stolen for so many times by Abbey Road equalizers, by API, by SSL. So basically it was like the most traditional shelf filters of all time. Black filter and red filter exactly in this way. So you can consider it like Pultec shelves. Bell filter, however, it's actually so-called constant equalizer. The difference is, first type of equalizer is called vintage equalizer. It has fixed mounting base, almost fixed. If you boost a bit, filter will be stupidly wide. If you boost more, filter will be steeper, like narrower, Q. And if you boost more, it will be like this. So the more you boost this, the more sharp filter is. It's called vintage equalizers. It's how, for example, Pultec works. However, SSL bell filters are different. They called constant equalizers. Constant equalizer means if you boost a bit and your Q is relatively high in number, which means narrow curve, you're gonna have like narrow boost. You boost more, steepness of the filter remains the same, but mounting base will be wider. You boost more and again mounting base will be wider. But steepness of the filter remains relatively the same. It's called constant equalizer. One of recent equalizers which completely didn't implement this properly, it's a Kirchhoff EQ. I have a video on my channel, you can find it and you can check it out. I measure all other SSL plugins and real analog SSL which behaves in one way, and only one plugin which has completely wrong curve emulations is Kirchhoff EQ. What really concerning for me, a lot of people started arguing with me saying that Kirchhoff website claims they didn't try to implement this equalizer by 100%. They didn't implement harmonics, only the curves. But I proved in the video that curves completely wrong. And I didn't mention harmonics even once in that video, you know what I mean? And what's concerning here, people rather believe some commercial statement on the website than real audio engineer who shows real mathematical measurements in front of them. In this case, it's not audio engineering. Audio engineering is mathematics. If people don't believe in real measurement, what they doing in audio engineering, you know what I mean? Brainworx plugin, however, has proper curves, properly measured and emulated. Kirchhoff equalizer SSL-G and SSL-E doesn't even know the difference between constant EQ and vintage EQ, which is supposed to be there, you know what I mean? This plugin has so-called TMT algorithm, which Brainworx is really proud of. They claim it's something mind-blowing. On real SSL mixer, each knob, even if it stays at some position, it really doesn't mean is the value which it claims. It's called tolerance. Because all these potentiometers, they have little bit like plus minus 20% tolerance. If you, let's say, on this channel set up green knob at plus 6 decibels and second channel, this second channel, you also put at 6 decibels, it doesn't mean both filters really implement 6 decibels. First filter can be plus 5 dB, second can be plus 6.5 dB. You know, tolerance is pretty huge. They say they measured multiple channels, as you can see, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and so on. And each channel will have little bit different values. So if, let's say, I set up this green knob plus 6 decibels and this filter will be, let's say, 5000 cycles, 5K. In fact, it's not 5K. And it's not 6 decibels. Not plus 6.0, but maybe plus 5, maybe plus 6.7 or something like this. Whenever you switch the channel, it will be a bit random numbers. And then you switch the channel again and it will be again random numbers. It's actually a very simplistic system. It's actually a randomizer. In fact, there is probably like code. If channel is 1, add up like 7% to the value. If channel is 2, subtract 10% of the value or something like this, you know what I mean? So I really doubt they really measured so many channels, because in this case it would be like 80 plugins in one plugin. It would be overload your computer system and stuff, but actually this plugin is super lightweight. Plus, I noticed it doesn't affect coloration. I'm totally sure if you measure tolerance between each equalizer individually, it will be some tolerance in coloration. But in this case, it's only related to the curve, you know, so I believe TMT is just randomizer. And I'm gonna show you how to get TMT technology basically on any plugin. Check it out. For example, SSL from Waves. It's only one SSL EQ, and Brainworx 70 or 80 different equalizers. This one, just one black knob, one brown knob. Okay, let's play in TMT game. 5000, as you can see on this Waves plugin, I boost by 6 decibels. There is some tolerance. Let's put, instead of 6, 5.5, and instead of 5K, let's put 5.5K. It's our first channel. When you're gonna copy this SSL plugin on the other instrument to process the second instrument, and you decide to have similar settings on the second instrument, you want second channel of SSL console, and you put, instead of 5.5, you put 6.5, and instead of 5.5, you put 4.8. Oh my god, it's TMT technology! Look, it's tolerance! Rotate knob a bit more, a bit less by yourself. You don't need any fancy TMT technology in this case, you know what I mean? The point of Brainworx, you kind of like put the same SSL channel strip on many different instruments, like on this instrument, on this instrument, on this instrument, second, third channel, left, right, on the second plugin, because it's a stereo instrument. Then 4, 5, because 1, 2, 3 already occupied, 4, 5 on the other instrument, and so on and so forth. With the same settings, you're gonna have little bit tolerance on each plugin, but you can create this tolerance with your own hands. Just on one instrument, put 5.5K, on the next instrument 4.5K, on the next instrument 5.1K, on the fourth instrument 4.9K. And this is fancy TMT technology, tolerance imitation by your own hands. From the other side, I want to criticize the whole approach Brainworx kind of give you. Remember, I always say plugin manufacturers sometimes create a theory for you to sell you a plugin, right? It's one of those cases. What they really mean, you have this plugin, let's say, on multiple instruments. Just for example, let's say 4 channels of this mixer. Let's say it's 4 different instruments. And they say, put channel number 1 on the first channel, 2, 3 on the second channel, 4, 5 on the next channel, and put 6, 7 on the next channel. And you're gonna have a bit of tolerance. The problem is, when you mix, you think with ears. My settings is really thoroughly chosen, like for the instrument, in a way like this instrument really needs. So if I put this knob exactly in this position, it's only because of I notice how it sounds good, and I chose exactly this position for the knob. And I chose this particular frequency, this knob in this position, just because of this frequency sounds the best for this particular instrument for the mix. And I do literally the same on any other instruments. Let's say I use some blue filter to cut some muddiness over here, and then let's say on the third instrument I boost high frequencies, maybe with a red band, you know. And then on the fourth instrument I boost highs and a bit of upper mid in combination with a bit of low boost in a bell mode like this. Then Brainworx, in the manual, what they suggest you to do, they suggest you to randomize number of channels. Press this button, random channel, or for all channels. Now, plugin number 1 is 26 channel, plugin number 2 is 4445, plugin number 3 is 23, and plugin number 4 is 3132. What it really means, for my settings on my equalizers, right now everything is spoiled, because I'm not a random mixer who randomly put any strange random settings. So Brainworx claim it would be interesting because all your instruments will sound a bit different and maybe it would be better mix or something. But I don't want random mix. I'm not looking for a button which would make my mix sound randomly different. I already found perfect settings on the first plugin for the green boost and green frequency. Ask yourself, it was first channel with special tolerance. I don't care about tolerance because I set up those positions by ears. Now when it's channel number 26, obviously gain is already different and frequency is already different. So it already sounds not like I chose, not like I found as the best setting. The same will happen for the second plugin. It would be different amount of low mid cut with the blue band. It will be already not this frequency but different frequency, and amount of cut it will be different amount of cut. Different amount of cut means different amount of muddiness. So I literally spoil everything I achieved with my own settings by these randomization buttons. So it makes no sense actually for the real proper mixing when audio engineer really controls the sound. But if you're interested in TMT and random kind of positions of knobs, a bit random sounds, why not? It's up to you. I just share my own opinion with you about this. Brown knob, it's literally from 1976 on a B series console of SSL. In 1981 they invented black knob. Difference between brown knob and black knob really can be depending on tolerance actually. Just simple example, if you choose, for example, very first channel on TMT algorithm over here, you let's say boost high frequencies on the black knob, it will be less boost than with the brown knob option with the first channel. From this point of view, you may think brown knob boosts more than black knob, but actually it's only because of this particular tolerance. If you choose any other channel, for example channel number 3 or something like this, and you repeat these measurements and comparisons, now actually black knob can boost more than this mode, brown knob. It really depends on this particular kind of tolerance actually. For example, there are plugins SSL which also have brown knob and black knob, when brown knob actually has less boost than black knob. For example, Universal Audio 4000E channel 3, which I mentioned today. Difference between brown knob and black knob not as obvious. It still has some difference. For example, brown knob definitely has wider boost in lows, but it's just a bit. So if you boost lows in a bell mode, in the black knob it will be a bit narrower, in the brown knob it will be just a bit wider. And other differences which I'm not gonna share with you in this video. I explain all this on the course, but anyway, in the context of this video it would take too much time. 12 decibels per octave for lows, which means less phase shift, but less effective low cut. How about compressor? On the screen you can see information which you're not gonna find anywhere else. It's absolutely unique. So this compressor is based on Aphex 1537 VCA module. When it was obsolete, it was switched to DBX 2151. So this is exactly what it's based on. This compressor is not this traditional classic vintage compressor feedback type. Actually, it's a feed forward. It sounds more in your face, sort of more straightforward, but The disadvantage of this compressor, it's not evening out notes in between so smoothly and naturally like feedback type of compressors. So it's more like modern sort of compressor. Surprisingly, each plugin manufacturer implement this compressor completely differently. Some plugin manufacturers make this compressor emulation still kind of very naturally evening out notes, and it's RMS sensing, which means detector of this compressor analyzes RMS level of the incoming signal, not by peaks. In later design in 1995, when SSL switched to 9000 series specification, and these like 9000J, series console, K, series console, duality, those compressors right now have alternative mode called peak detector mode. Fast attack, it's roughly 1-3 milliseconds. And slow attack, it's claimed to be automatic actually attack, but in fact it's a slow automatic attack. So roughly it's going around 30 milliseconds, which is very traditional long attack value, 30 milliseconds. I have absolutely mind-blowing guides on my course how to set up compressors, how all this works, and like strategies when to use fast attack, slow attack, and principles. It's possible even promote somehow by words. It's so like huge and so a lot that I cannot even describe it how huge it is, you know. It has additional extra features like alternative release, additional sidechain filter, parallel mix blend gate, faster, expander slower. Expander, it's a low ratio gate basically. You have fast attack, slow attack, you have additional level of the threshold, range to implement so-called floor technique. It's amazing gating technique which I explain on my course. It's super effective thing. You have dynamic sidechain on these modules, which means in a compressor there is a boss inside, right? The guy who makes decisions. You can cheat this boss in any way. You can set up low cut, high cut filter in any way you want. You can set up EQ in any way you want. For example, just to keep only high frequencies. Then you press this button, dynamic sidechain on these two modules. Filters and equalizers, you're not gonna hear those. It will be only for the boss of a compressor. And compressor will analyze the sound completely different and apply a completely different type of compression. And you have gain reduction meters over here. This is electronic piano, right? This is 3 dB of compression, 6 dB of compression, 10 dB of compression, and too much 14 dB compression and 20 dB of compression marked as the red color, which means like too much compression. This is the meter for expander gate to make noises in between phrases when you try to attenuate noise. Like background noise, which obviously analog devices create, so you can set up this noise or you can turn it off if you want. I'm sure absolutely everybody confused about this. It's a meter. Look at this peak meter in DAW. It's a full-scale dbFS. 0 maximum is the value of this channel without SSL channel strip. Between 16 and 12, which is minus 14 roughly. So minus 14. On this picture you can see dbFS scale going from 0 to minus 18 basically and below. Minus 18 will be roughly around 0 VU. Don't get me wrong, but depending on how you calibrate VU, and there are a couple of standards about this. But anyway, roughly speaking, minus 18 would on digital would be around 0 VU. Sometimes plus 4 VU will be roughly over here. And dbVU scale, which is basically analog console scale, it's basically you can go above 0, but 0 stays much below than digital 0. It stays roughly around minus 18. And maximum level without clipping is plus 24 decibels on this old console. So basically you're gonna have this clipping only after plus 24. Below plus 24 is much more saturated sound. So on digital it's level roughly minus 14 dB. Obviously on VU meter it would be above plus 3 maximum level of VU meter, so it would be like clipping on VU meter all the time. But when you look at this plugin, VU meter actually shows only above minus 10, not above plus 3. So the question is how it's possible. The answer is, this plugin has calibration. You go to the label of the plugin, it says PPM meter reference minus 20 dbFS. And VU meter reference minus 10 dbFS. So plugin manufacturer adjusted all these levels, that's why you're confused. Instead of showing +3, it basically make it minus 10 decibels down, and it will be minus 7, right? +3, minus 10, it will be minus 7. But of course, VU meter has slow reaction. VU meter has inertia. It's not so fast to jump. That's why it's a bit late. That's why it doesn't have enough time to jump up to minus 7. It's just a bit below. That's why it shows you in between minus 10 and minus 7. Over here, like minus 9 or something. Second, it's dbU. Instead of minus 18, reference point will be minus 20. dbU scale will be not around minus 18, but around minus 20 of digital scale, which means we put the whole scale 2 decibels down, like this. If this dbU scale is not adjusted in any way, we would have just some levels above 0, somewhere roughly over here. But as the whole scale going down, additionally, we kind of have this point above original position. For example, without adjustment, it would be somewhere here, right? But as we put the whole scale down, this green point obviously will be higher right now. So value for this level would be above. That's why it shows not just a bit above 0, but like more above 0. It's roughly around +8. Somewhere here. So it matches this like digital scale. Now you know how to read this indicator. Attend one free trial class if you want to be at absolutely different level than majority of audio engineers, and you really want to save your 10-15 years and thousands of dollars not spending on tools you really don't need. This course is completely different level. How to contact me, the information is in the first pinned comment or in the description or on the screen.